In this week's episode of One Piece, the true history of Dressrosa is revealed, and we learn how the devilishly dastardly Don Quixote Doflamingo took over the kingdom. But first, check this out. Are you feeling wacky on tobacco looking like Chewbacca? Well, say no and get ready to look like Han Solo with the executive razor from Dollar Shave Club. This razor has 6 high-quality razor blades with a moisturizing strip, and you can check it out at dollarshaveclub.com/SKG. Shave time, shave money. Before we get into the whole Dressrosa history thing, I do want to mention that Bartolomeo finally got to meet Luffy this week and even have a conversation with him. Although, he seems to be having some trouble controlling his fanboy urges, because he can't even look at Luffy. He completely covers his face, but he will do anything to help Luffy. So he decides he's going to bring him up to the Coliseum so that Luffy can watch the rest of the fight with Rebecca. But the main thing to take away this week is that we get to learn how the King Riku army was framed and systematically destroyed by Doflamingo so that he could reclaim the throne in the name of the Don Quixote family. And what I love most about this episode, and this is going to seem weird, and I found it very funny, is that there was this massive calm before the storm. When they show you what Dressrosa was like when King Riku was sort of like in charge of the kingdom, it is so bubbly and picturesque and Disneyfied that it just seems like any second something is going to go horribly wrong. It reminds me of that one episode of Naruto Shippuden before Pain attacked Konoha Village, and they showed how happy everybody is and nothing's gonna go wrong today, when suddenly the villain decides to come in and start destroying everything. And you even see that Doflamingo just sort of arrived right outside King Riku's window, and he lets him know, I want all this money. Give me all the money your kingdom has, otherwise I'm burning it to the ground. And King Riku is a king who is not a fan of violence, and he wants to do anything he can to help the citizens. So he comes up with this really crazy plan where they're suddenly just going to go out and basically collect all the money they can to keep Doflamingo from attacking the kingdom. But this is all a part of Doflamingo's plan. It's the first plan to get the citizens to start distrusting the king. At first, they're slightly reluctant about giving up all of their money, especially because the king doesn't give them any sort of explanation as to why they should do it. But he actually starts begging all of them, getting on his hands and knees, which is something that a king should never do. But it shows how desperate he is, and this actually gets all of the citizens to get involved and start donating every single thing that they can. However, Doflamingo implements the next part of his plan where he's able to not only take control of King Riku, but all of the entire Dressrosa army, and he uses his string abilities to literally control them like puppets, and they go around and burn the country to the ground and kill people left and right. It's a very dark scene, and you just knew it was going to happen, especially because, like I said, everything was so nice and happy before, but you just knew it was going to go completely to shit. They also get to show off that Doflamingo has his own little group of goons who are completely in silhouette, and it looks like they're going to be awesome. I imagine that one character, Diamante, is probably a member of that group, and maybe a few of the other ones that we've seen before, or maybe these are characters which haven't even been shown yet, and they're just hinting them in these episodes. But it's awesome. The best thing about this week's episode, though, is Doflamingo. He is such an incredibly fun villain to watch, because not only does he always have his shit-eating grin on his face, but you can tell that he is just having way too much fun when he is destroying everybody in Dressrosa. He's just a perfect villain. I love his voice, I love his design, you just love to hate him, and you can't wait to see his ultimate downfall whenever that's going to happen. Otherwise, this was an episode that actually went by like really quick. For me, actually, when I was watching it, it just happened out of nowhere, and a lot of that had to do because there were some scenes in the beginning that were sort of like not needed, where you got to see Rebecca and the Amazonian chick fighting in the arena, and then they just cut away from that just to go back to the toy soldier, who is Rebecca's father. And it is interesting to note that they're not even getting into his backstory yet, and he's like nowhere in any of the backstory of Dressrosa yet. And I'm still holding firm that the toy soldier is Kyros. It's been hinted at multiple times. Rebecca looks up to Kyros so much, and he was the father of Rebecca. It just makes sense. There's been a million hints to it in this arc. Otherwise, that's really all I have to say about this week's episode of One Piece. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of One Piece. Pretty good stuff. It's another one of those necessary evil type of episodes where we get to learn the history of the country that the Straw Hats have just arrived in, because that's something that happens in One Piece. They arrive to an island, they meet the people have a problem, they fix the problem. That's what's going to be happening, and it looks like it's going to involve all of the different Straw Hat members, and they're all going to get involved in this crazy little, war that seems like it's been going on for quite some time. There's still a lot to explain in terms of backstory, especially about the Don Quixote family. I want to learn a lot about them. I want to see Doflamingo's relatives. I want to see what the previous kings were like, because they are apparently just as evil as he was. And that's another thing that I mentioned, I just love every single time Doflamingo's on the scene, because he just completely steals everything. Even though there was that scene where he was joined by his, mysterious guards, you didn't even care about them, because Doflamingo is just completely chewing the scenery, and he actually takes his string, abilities to an entirely new level. Because if you've ever actually watched Naruto, and yes, I'm doing another Naruto comparison, there are the characters who are puppet users, who have the ability to create these strings which they can control bodies and puppets and stuff. And some of those characters can only control so many at a time. But Doflamingo is able to send out many, many hundreds of strings out into the area and control all of these people just by moving his fingers. The big thing to take away from this is we actually get to learn why the citizens of Dressrosa hate the Riku family and the army, and that's because they were framed into basically just massacring the entire country. And this is where Doflamingo just sort of stepped in, taked over, and played the role of Hitler, so to speak. So, yes, great episode. Pretty decent animation. It went by really, really quick. There were some scenes they could have cut out entirely, but there's still some pretty important stuff here, especially if you've been following the series for a long time and you're going to continue watching the One Piece series. Pretty good episode. Nothing too mind-blowing, but still really important if you are following the series. Check it out. Thank you guys for watching my review today. Before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to tell me what you thought about this week's episode of One Piece. What did you think of Doflamingo's plan to take over the kingdom? And make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links for all that stuff in the description box below.
Do you like Amazon.com? I know I do. Corey and I now have an Amazon link in our video description box below. And if you go to it and buy anything through Amazon.com, it will support our channel. So bookmark that link, make it happen, and support our channel without having to do a damn thing.
Another great way you guys can help support our channel is by donating directly through our PayPal link in the description box below. We recommend $2 a month, although this is completely optional. But the best way to go about this is by sneaking into your mom's room and taking $2. This way, she won't even notice. And we won't have to shake you up for all of your lunch money. So guys, that concludes this review today. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out.